Parades, flags, and the sound of taps mark this Memorial Day. We'll take you across the country.
And he just lost strength and simply couldn't hold on.
The investigation continues into the death of a sheriff's deputy who drowned in the frigid waters of Lake Tahoe.
Memorial Day is supposed to mark the start of summer, but this wintry weather has delayed the season in the Sierra.
And our forecast is a cool and unsettled one. I'll have the details.
And imagine clinging to a 100-foot cliff before you're pulled away in a high-flying rescue. Two teenagers got the ride of their lives. Good afternoon, I'm Sarah Gardner.
I'm Kelly Brothers. Channel 3 reports the early edition next.
It's 4:30 p.m. and you're watching KCRA TV, where the news comes first. With Kelly Brothers and Sarah Gardner. Weather with Mark Finan. Home of Michael Kidd and Live Copter 3. And Northern California's #1 news team. This is Channel 3 Reports.
They are gone but not forgotten. Men and women who paid the ultimate price for their country, honored as a vital part of Memorial Day. Around Northern California and across the country, it was a day to show appreciation for America's fallen heroes. Channel 3's Tom Duhane shares with us some of the ceremony.
From the Revolutionary War, World War II, through Desert Storm.
The first event was this Veterans Day parade through downtown Sacramento. Vets from several wars were represented, but the spectator turnout here was sparse. But citizens did remember today in North Highlands at the annual community parade on 1 Avenue. It was well attended, and the red, white, and blue was everywhere, flying proud. At Sacramento's Convention Center, a special Jazz Jubilee tribute to all veterans, with special honors for Vietnam vets. Today's event honored 5 Viet vets in particular, who stood before a crowd of admirers. And they had stories to tell about their days in the rice paddies.
It was long days, long hours. We worked 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. There was a lot of camaraderie between the guys. We did our job to help everybody else out.
The stories, along with patriotic song, stirred both pride and emotion. For some, it's only been a short time since they were in uniform in the Gulf War. These men are also veterans from Vietnam. After the war, Sin Quang Lee spent 8 years in a communist re-education camp.
We had a very hard labor. It is not re-education, but a vengeance, you know.
Memorial Day is a chance for Lee and other Vietnam Americans to thank the American soldiers who made the ultimate sacrifice for their country. And finally, a solemn ceremony at Mount Vernon Memorial Park.
Let us never forget to remember those who fought and died for our freedom.
At the crack of dawn, some Orangevale Cub Scouts had put up 200 flags. The legacy of American veterans is remembered.
That was Tom Duhane reporting. President Clinton today paid tribute to all veterans, living and dead, who have served their country. He laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns in Arlington National Cemetery, where earlier this month the remains of a Vietnam soldier were exhumed in hopes that they can be identified.
Whatever happens, we must always remember that that stone represents the many unknown soldiers still in Vietnam, in Korea, in other theaters where Americans lie far away from home, missing in action, still with us in spirit.
It could be several weeks before any identification of the exhumed soldier is made. Remains believed to be those of 2 unidentified American soldiers from the Korean War are coming home. North Korea today released the remains to an American-led United Nations command. The remains will be sent to an Army laboratory in Hawaii for forensic tests. More than 50,000 American soldiers were killed in the Korean War, and more than 8,000 still have not been accounted for.
In other news this afternoon, the investigation continues after a sheriff's deputy drowned in the frigid waters of Lake Tahoe. It happened late yesterday afternoon after a boat capsized near Zephyr Cove. 54-year-old Ed Callahan was pronounced dead shortly before 6 o'clock last night. He and Boat Patrol Officer Wes Rice were stepping from their patrol boat into a dinghy when a large wave hit and tossed them and a harbor master into the water. Rice and the harbor master made it, but Callahan did not. Near freezing temperatures may have exhausted him.
At this time of the year at Lake Tahoe, water temperatures are probably in the high 30s to low 40s. Combine all that, and survival rates are pretty short, probably 5 minutes.
Investigators say Callahan was in the water for at least 15 minutes. It was his third year on boat patrol for Douglas County, Nevada, but his first patrol this year. Those cold temperatures at Lake Tahoe also put a damper on some of the more traditional holiday activities. Channel 3's Laura Anthony joins us live from the Sierra with more on what's going on outdoors. Laura?
Well, Sarah, while not exactly a bust, this holiday weekend was no jackpot for South Lake Tahoe businesses either. This windy, wet, cold weather kept many people indoors for the duration. Of course, that is not such a bad thing if you happen to own a casino. Their business remained brisk throughout the three-day weekend, but still far below previous Memorial Days. Part of the problem, lots of people bailed out early today, trying to hit the highway before a chance of snow later tonight. Venture away from the big casinos and business was downright dismal. Many of the smaller motels report business was off by as much as 50% over last year. Perhaps hardest hit those who rent boats, jet skis and the like. It was just simply too cold. Some of those folks didn't even bother to open their doors at all today. Now, Memorial Day is important, but it is not a make or break holiday for the businesses up here on South Shore. The really important holiday, Kelly and Sarah, is coming up. That is the 4th of July. So if Mother Nature cooperates, they should be able to recover from this. If it is cold for 4th of July, it could be a big problem. Back to you.
Yeah, let's hope we see warmer temperatures by the 4th of July for a lot of reasons. All right. Thanks, Laura. Sure.
Millions of people hit the road to head out before the holiday weekend, and now those millions are headed back home. Scott Monroe has more on the homebound commute from Live Copter 3. Scott?
Thanks, Kelly. So far, I have to say that I'm not seeing hardly any of that come in compared to Friday. Take a look at I-80 right around Antelope. There was this looking back towards Sacramento, so the incoming lane is on the right-hand side. It's almost deserted. Not quite deserted, but I'm not seeing any of the SUVs and motorhomes and trailers and things like that we saw on Friday coming out of town. It was a mass exodus at that point on the other way. Maybe that's going to change as we get into the 6 o'clock hour. Who knows? But right now, it's very light traffic on the I-80. Kelly, back to you.
I'm sure a lot of commuters just smart enough after all these years, Scott, to realize either come home earlier in the morning or perhaps later at night.
Yeah, it could be. They've seen it before, that's for sure.
All right, we'll see you again later in the evening. Thank you. Things seem to be a little bit safer on California highways this year. Numbers from the California Highway Patrol show that from 6 p.m. Friday to 6 a.m. today, 23 people died on the state's highways, roads, and city streets. Last year, 33 people died. And while traffic deaths are down, DUI arrests are up. The CHP has made 1,349 DUI arrests this year, compared with 1,241 last year. The CHP says it is cracking down harder than ever.
This Memorial Day, people in Springfield, Oregon are also remembering those who lost their lives in last week's school shooting. Funeral services were held today for 16-year-old Ben Walker. He was shot in the head 5 minutes before the school bell rang on Thursday. He never recovered.
Ben was a very special young man, had a very tender spirit. And Lord, through your assurance that I know that he's with you at this time.
15-year-old suspect Kip Kinkle sits in a juvenile detention center under suicide watch. But today, students stopped by the school for counseling. Classes resume tomorrow when students will be allowed to leave to attend funeral services for Mikhail Nicholson, the other student who died in the shooting. Federal agents now say it was a bomb that tore through a church in Illinois yesterday. The blast outside the church in Danville blew a hole in the wall and injured 33 worshipers. 6 people were still hospitalized, including 2 teenage girls who are in serious condition with head wounds. 2 others were sent home today. Investigators are now looking for any connection with a bomb that killed a church volunteer in a nearby town back in December.
2 teenage girls are lucky to be alive today after they were rescued from a cliff by the Coast Guard. Rescue crews pulled the girls to safety after they were trapped by incoming ocean tides off the coast of Washington. They got stuck trying to climb to safety, then clung to a 100-foot cliff for 6 hours before a helicopter lifted them to safety. The two 15-year-olds were treated for mild hypothermia. They are expected to make a full recovery. A jetliner bounced around by severe turbulence has landed in Los Angeles after a harrowing experience for passengers. The plane landed at LAX today with a new crew after making an emergency stop in Oklahoma City last night. 7 of the original flight attendants and 1 passenger had to be treated for injuries after the plane ran into severe turbulence.
Probably the most terrifying experience of my life. And you had that split second where you think maybe the plane's going to actually crash.
Passengers say people were tossed around like rag dolls. 3 people are still hospitalized in Oklahoma.
Sheriff's deputies descended on San Francisco's Cannabis Healing Center today, shutting it down once again. Deputies arrived in the morning around 6 to pick the locks and close the doors. They didn't take anything, but they took photographs and inventory of everything, including some marijuana. Sheriff Mike Hennessy was quick to point out that this was no drug bust, but that he was carrying out a court order to close the club, deemed a public nuisance.
Which requires that the building be completely vacated of people and that the locks be changed. I felt that this club and others like it were a good way for Proposition 215 to be carried out. The courts have ruled differently.
Outside, demonstrators smoked marijuana in protest. The center's original founder, Dennis Perrone, who is running for governor, showed up saying he'd been illegally locked out of his campaign headquarters. Now he wants the city to get involved.
Calling on the city to declare a state of emergency to distribute pot. If they don't, the Civic Center and the Dolores Park and all those places are going to be jammed.
Perrone meets authorities in court tomorrow morning.
4 days of music, 5 different venue sites, more than 100 bands, and today Sacramento's annual Jazz Jubilee is winding down on a winning financial note. Sacramento's most popular musical weekend wraps up at 5 o'clock this evening, and early indications show that attendance is up. Last year, about 98,000 people paid to hear the music. This year, the number's well over 100,000.
What it was last year, we are just absolutely thrilled.
When you say up 10%, what does that mean in terms of badge buyers? I mean, how many?
That means probably around 109, 110,000, somewhere in there.
Concession operators also say their business has been up. Overall, the Jubilee appears to be a major success again this year.
Now, we do have some clouds building up Northern California, which they say could give way to rain this week. Angela's got a look at our live neighborhood Doppler coming up.
Plus, how much does it cost to go to college? Actually, in some cases, less than you might think.
Do you have a lower rate if I take a room on a lower floor?
Plus, hotel haggling to get the best room rate possible this summer. We'll show you how.
The herb is put on after the product is made, so the herb is maintained.
And snack foods that claim they can literally improve your mood with a few unusual ingredients.
Well, we saw some sunshine today, but it is chilly out there.
It is. Still doesn't feel like the start of summer. And Mark Finan is celebrating Memorial Day the way he traditionally does, 36 holes of golf. So we have Angela. Hi, Angela.
Hello. It is chilly. In fact, temperatures are running about 15 degrees cooler than normal, and it looks like that's going to be the pattern over the next several days. And since cooler air doesn't hold as much water, we're also going to be dealing with some showers as some moisture moves back into Northern California. Let's take a look outside. We had clouds and a little bit of sunshine. We've had both rain and snow, though, in the higher elevations. In fact, this is a live look from our Lake Tahoe sky cam. You can see that we are dealing with very gray clouds. These are more moistened latent clouds, so we're going to be dealing with some showers and a little bit of snow in the higher elevations, and those snow levels have been stuck at about the 6,000-foot level today. Let's take a look at live neighborhood Doppler radar. And we'll show you that we are, in fact, dealing with a few rain showers, especially in Colusa and Glenn counties. This is I-5 to the north of Sacramento, so most of the precipitation is just west of I-5. I'll take you in a little closer to portions of Colusa County. Maxwell and Williams are dry, but the rain showers are just west of you, just west of I-5 and moving slowly to the east. Bigger view of the radar will show you we're not the only ones dealing with rain as you head up into extreme Northern California. We also have some rain showers. The regional radar will show you that. Showers and even a few thunder showers possible through the afternoon hours, and it's changing to snow. A snow advisory in effect for counties like Humboldt, Trinity, and Siskiyou, with the snow level as low as 4,000 feet. Snow levels are low thanks to cold air that's moving in from the Gulf of Alaska. Everything is moving from northwest to southeast. That's the reason we're going to stay under this cooler flow over the next couple of days. because the area of low pressure that's bringing us the clouds and the precipitation and the cooler air isn't going anywhere. So your forecast for the rest of tonight, by 7 o'clock, will be in the 60s. By 11 o'clock, a few more showers, and by tomorrow morning, you can expect to see a few scattered showers. Snow level in the higher elevations of the Sierra could drop to as low as 5,000 feet by early tomorrow. So if you're traveling along I-80, say to Blue Canyon, maybe a couple of snow showers. And I just checked, it is still May. Sarah and Kelly, back to you.
And not for long either.
No.
Thanks, Angela.
A new poll shows that most Americans think college is more expensive than it really is. The research conducted for the American Council on Education found that 65% of Americans rank the cost of college as the top concern for their children. 71% feel that a four-year college education is not affordable for most Americans. But although they believed in-state tuition for a four-year public college was $9,694, data from the College Board shows it really costs just $3,111. Still, 85% said that it is somewhat or very likely they will be able to afford a four-year public education.
With summer vacations on the way, hotel and motel rooms are getting booked up fast, but when it comes to paying for a room, the first price quoted isn't the only one to consider. Consumer Reports finds it pays to bargain. Libra Kursky, a producer for Consumer Reports, never bargained for a hotel room before. She was asked to see how low a rate she could get at some hotels in the Washington, D.C. area. So Libra went to the phone.
Reservations, please.
Consumer Reports told her not to settle for the first price quoted, but to ask for discounts.
Do you have any discounts for AAA members?
Here's how the room rate dropped with this Comfort Inn. The first quote was $68. A AAA discount brought it down to $61, and if she'd been over age 50, it would have gone down to $48. Libra found getting a lower rate is easy if you keep asking questions.
Do you have a lower rate if I take a room on a lower floor?
Also ask about any off-peak or promotional discounts.
Any weekend specials or promotions going on?
Here's the room rate for this DoubleTree hotel. The first quote was $164. A room on a lower floor reduced it to $154. Asking for a weekend rate got it down to $89.
And that's with breakfast. How much is it without breakfast?
Skipping breakfast brought the rate down to $79 for a total savings of $85. Libra's not the only one who's learned to bargain. A recent Consumer Reports survey of its readers found 75% of those who bargained got a lower rate. Another tip, call both the chain's 800 number and the hotel's local number. Their rates may actually be different.
And there is more ahead on today's early edition, more proof of the harm secondhand smoke can do and what you can do to reverse the damage.
And later on, giving and getting the best driveway deals from stuff right out of your own backyard.
Real TV, weeknights at 7:30 on Channel 3.
What else could put a relatively healthy person at risk for heart disease? New studies suggest it could be the air you breathe. Scientists tested the blood of 10 healthy, non-smoking men and women after they spent a half an hour in a room full of cigarette smoke. They found that in this short period, antioxidants, which ordinarily limit cholesterol deposits, were impaired.
What this study has demonstrated is that secondhand smoke results in a status that promotes the deposition of cholesterol into the wall of arteries and the development of arteriosclerosis.
Doctors recommend antioxidants such as vitamin C for those with a greater risk of heart disease and say it's possible they may help non-smokers who are often exposed to other people's smoke.
It might seem obvious that enjoying a snack food can improve your mood, at least mentally. But what about physically? Linda Chiampa has the story of a company that claims it can lift your spirits with a few special ingredients.
St. John's wort has been nicknamed the herbal Prozac because German studies show it may help treat depression. And now a food company in New York wants to take advantage of the herb's possible mood-boosting benefits by fortifying snacks with St. John's wort.
The demand is high. The consumers have received them well. It's a good selling product.
The company's self-proclaimed life-changing snacks come fortified with several different herbs, including kava kava, echinacea, and ginkgo biloba, which are supposed to help treat problems such as the common cold and failing memories.
The herb is put on after the product is made, so the herb is maintained. It's not cooked at all. Then you're absorbing it right into the bloodstream through the mouth, which is much more effective than a supplement ever is.
But many experts doubt such claims. German studies have shown it takes 900 milligrams of St. John's wort to treat depression. That's a far cry from what you get in a serving of herbal chips.
But we called the manufacturer and learned that in one serving, there were 100 milligrams of St. John's wort. Now, assuming that they contain the active ingredient that's in that product, that bushy perennial, you would need to eat 4.5 bags of these in order to get the recommended dosage to treat mild depression.
4.5 bags of the chips would total 54 grams of fat and 1,260 calories. Nutritionists say a few herbal chips now and then won't hurt most diets, but you might not want to count on a snack food to help you beat the blues. Linda Champa, CNN, Atlanta.
Of all the Memorial Day remembrances today, one stands out simply because it is so unique. This unique ceremony and the veterans it honored coming up at 5.
But still ahead on Early Edition, how to find name brand prices at a fraction of the cost.
I'll probably make about $200 on this, mostly in kids' clothes.
How to start a superior garage sale and reap the rewards when we come back.
Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. Closing time, this room won't be open.
Garage sale season is underway, but if you're going to hold one, plan ahead. Today, Linda White has some tips on how to make the most of your driveway deals.
Isn't it lovely? We did get rid of the big giant spoon and fork.
So you're ready to hold your first garage sale. How do you prepare? Maybe you should figure out what your objective is.
Is the idea to make a little money or a lot of money?
Actually, the idea is to get rid of your junk.
Sharon Airy is an 8-year veteran garage sale holder. It runs in her family. She says after you've set your objective, you must then have lots of stuff to sell. Her garage sale includes 4 family members.
What's that? Okay, $1.
She says just like with any other business, you'll also have to spend money to make money.
I spent $40 on advertisement, and I'll probably make about $200 on this, mostly in kids' clothes and such.
Another key to a successful garage sale is a sign pointing your prospective buyers in the right direction.
I had a lady that stopped in. She says, you get an A+ for signs.
Don't forget to put directions in your ad if your street is hard to find. Timing is also very important. The time of the year.
We used to have our sale in June or July, and we found that there were so many sales that you would get people that would come and they would take off right away.
Sharon says spring is best and the time you open. Just be prepared for some early risers.
We've had people here at 7:30 in the morning when we advertised for 9. My mom was very polite to open up the door. She was more polite than I would have been. They look halfway decent.
Don't forget to organize your items. Neatness counts, as well as clearly mark them with the price. And if you have a lot of one item, like toys, group them together and charge the same price for them. But Sharon says, most importantly,
have fun with it. You know, if somebody wants to bargain, bargain with them. If something's marked $2, they offer you $1, take it.
That's going back to the original objective. You're just trying to get rid of your stuff. I'm Linda White for NBC News.
And if you hold a garage sale, keep in mind that dealers looking for antiques will come the night before or be there first. Some will even call you, getting your phone number from a city directory.
They're professionals, so bargain hard with the early risers. That's it for us. Now it's on to Channel 3 Reports at 5 with Tom and Edie.
Kelly and Sarah, here's what's happening tonight. From the heroes to the foot soldiers, America's military veterans getting their due nationwide today.
And I'm Kevin Riggs at Capitol Park, where many veterans say they feel the American public's interest in Memorial Day is dwindling. I'll have a live report coming up.
His job was to keep the Sierra Lake safe for citizens, but he lost his life last night on patrol.
Lake Tahoe is usually the place to be on Memorial Day, but tonight it's a virtual ghost town as cold, wet weather moves in, moving the tourists out.
And talking about going out on a high note, this year's Jazz Jubilee managing to achieve this year what it could not do last year. Good evening, I'm Tom Duhaney.
And I'm Edie Lambert. Dave and Lois have the night off. Channel 3 Reports at 5 is straight ahead.
It's 5 p.m. and you're watching KCRA TV, where the news comes first. With Dave Walker and Lois Hart. Weather with Mark Finan. Ron Hyde on sports. Home of Michael Kidd and Live Copter 3 and Northern California's #1 news team. This is Channel 3 Reports.
Remembering those who made the difference in times of war during this time of peace, this Memorial Day. The nation's fallen soldiers were honored today in ceremonies scattered throughout the Central Valley. It is a day to reflect on sacrifice and honor. But there is concern that as the memories of war fade, so has the importance of the holiday for many people. Channel 3's Kevin Riggs standing by live at the Capitol with more on today's events. Kevin?
Well, Tom, from Desert Storm to Vietnam, from Korea to World War II, many veterans took out their uniforms today along with their memories to honor their fallen comrades. But many complain the American Republic's attention is not what it should be.
At the state capitol, the crowds were sparse for this Memorial Day parade organized by the Veterans Affairs Council. This is, above all, a day for remembering, but in this era of peace, vets worry that's not happening.
The fact that everything was bought and paid for by the sacrifice of so many people, now we have less people remembering, and we seem to be, as an American people, losing a certain amount of heart.
Earl Workman, who spent World War II in the South Pacific, believes the problem lies at home.
I don't think the parents are letting the kids know what it's all about.
We need to be grateful to the people who sacrificed for this country that we live in. We've tried to teach our children that, and that's why we're here basically today.
It's a lesson her son has taken to heart.
Well, we need to remember it, because if we don't have a military, we can't live to protect the country that we live in.
The crowds were larger at this annual parade in North Highlands, winding past McClellan Air Force Base. But many veterans here voiced the same worry that the holiday's meaning is fading.
A lot of people, it's a 3-day weekend. They can go party, go to sports.
Sacramento's Land Park was crowded today with families enjoying the long weekend and the mild weather. But as for the day's meaning? Today is a holiday. Do you know what holiday this is?
Memorial Day.
Do you know what that is? Others know it's more than just a day off. You know what holiday?
Memorial Day.
And you know what that is?
For the people who were in the war.
Now, veterans say they know it will take an ongoing campaign of information and education to keep the meaning of this holiday fresh and relevant. They also know that is a task that grows tougher every year as the number of war veterans dwindle. Tom, Edie, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
And not all of today's ceremonies were traditional Memorial Day remembrances. Channel 3's Walt Gray found one location where Vietnam War veterans were honored with help from a world-famous jazz band.
At the Sacramento Convention Center, special Jazz Jubilee annual honors going to those who served in Vietnam. And providing the musical tribute, the world-famous Jack Daniels Coronet Band from Tennessee. Today's event, hosted by KCRA's Mike Boyd, and honored 5 Vietnam vets who stood before 1,000 admirers. Their names, left to right: Haidt, Fields, Gomez, Wagner, and Dahl. They had stories to tell about their days in the rice paddies.
It was long days, long hours. We worked 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. There was a lot of camaraderie between the guys. We did our job, help everybody else out.
These stories of war, along with patriotic songs on this holiday, combine to send old memories rushing back. For many, it seems only a short time ago they fought overseas. For one vet, the war in the Persian Gulf triggered memories of his time spent in Vietnam.
I started watching the news at 6 p.m. and it was like flashing back. The kids, the faces, they don't change, just the name of the war.
The faces of those who served grow older each year, but they enjoy being remembered, and they hope that each new generation is taught to appreciate what they did long ago on foreign shores. In Sacramento, Walt Gray, Channel 3 reports.
And following that ceremony, the veterans marched in the Capitol Parade and later gathered at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Tom?
Edie, one of the most focused Memorial Day ceremonies took place today at the Tomb of the Unknowns in Arlington National Cemetery. Sentinels guard the tomb 24 hours a day, but today has special meaning for the men and women who have the honor of guarding the tomb.
The tomb is a symbol. It's not just the remains of people, it's a symbol for our country. It symbolizes everyone who's ever sacrificed.
The guard's movements are precise. March 21 steps, stop for 21 seconds. Pace east for 21 seconds, symbolizing the 21-gun salute, the country's highest military honor. The requirements for a tomb sentinel are strict. It must be between 5'10" and 6'4" tall. There are 30 sentinels, all Army, mostly men, but there have been 2 women, and one is now in training.
Directed towards the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You know, that's the mission I take most seriously. I think that's the mission we all take most seriously. You know, we're not going to let anything happen to these unknown soldiers that are there.
Meantime, the investigation continues tonight into a boating accident that killed a Douglas County Sheriff's deputy on Lake Tahoe yesterday. The accident happened in Zephyr Cove on the Nevada side of Lake Tahoe. As Channel 3's Ryan Yamamoto reports, investigators are just about ready to wrap up the case.
A flag flies half-staff at Zephyr Cove. The water calm as if nothing had happened yesterday, but something did.
We're just trying to determine what exactly happened, if it was an accident or if it was preventable. The waves and the wind yesterday, the wave action was probably 2 to 3 feet.
Investigators say those waves threw Deputy Ed Callahan and 2 others into the water as they were trying to switch boats. The 2 men made it, but Callahan didn't. Investigators believe it's the temperature that killed him.
At this time of the year at Lake Tahoe, water temperatures are probably in the high 30s to low 40s.
Today, the lake temperature read 46. Yesterday, they say even colder.
Combine all that, and survival rates are pretty short, probably 5 minutes.
Ellington says at the time of the accident, the men were not only switching boats, but life vests as well. And Callahan may also have bumped his head before hitting the water.
It's possible, but we don't know that. At this point, we're just assuming that it was water temperature related and that hypothermia was setting in rapidly, and he just lost strength and simply couldn't hold on.
At Lake Tahoe, Ryan Yamamoto, Channel 3 reports.
Yesterday was the first time this season that the Water Patrol was out on the lake.
Well, the cold and windy conditions that played a part in that boating accident are still a factor at the lake tonight. Almost winter-like conditions have combined to make this holiday weekend a bit of a bust up at the lake. Checking the weather now from our live Skype camera over Tahoe, you can see heavy clouds. It's been raining off and on, and it's definitely chilly. Channel 3's Laura Anthony is standing by live at the lake. Laura?
Well, Tom, I am at lake level where the temperature is in the mid-30s, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's starting to snow here. Mother Nature has played havoc with this Memorial Day holiday. Rain, wind, freezing temperatures have all put a damper on traditional warm weather activities. Not wanting to gamble on bad weather, many Tahoe tourists cashed it in early this holiday, one that produced no jackpots for South Shore businesses. This is normally the big kickoff weekend for the summer season, but instead sales were just ho-hum.
A lot of people left early. If it would have been sunny and nice, people would have stayed and hung out. But then they talked about snow level at 7,500 feet. So I think a lot of people left early, afraid to get stuck on the pass with the snow.
Motel operators report vacancy rates were way up for the weekend and business way down, off as much as 50% compared with last year. The big South Shore casinos fared a bit better despite the weather.
The nightlife is the nightlife, and there's no snow inside a casino.
But what about on the slopes? Yep, that's snow on Heavenly Valley's front face. In fact, the area had the lifts running Saturday and Sunday, but not today.
We had heard that the slopes were going to be open on the weekend, so we thought, you know, since it's a holiday, it would be open, but unfortunately, it's not.
Not enough snow to snow ski and too much to jet ski. In fact, boat rental businesses along the lake sat idle all day. This guy didn't even bother to open his doors. Even the big boats, like the Tahoe Queen, were running light.
It's down probably, I'd say, by at least 50 to 70%.
All in all, a tough weekend for the Tahoe tourist.
What would you rather be doing, running around on the beach or running around in your ski jacket?
Running around on the beach.
Well, I can assure you that there were not too many people running around on the beach up here today. As important as it is, Memorial Day is not a make or break weekend for South Lake Tahoe. That is 4th of July. If the weather is like this, then they could be in some big trouble up here. But then, Tom and Edie, Mother Nature has 6 weeks to get her act together. Back to you.
Laura, quick question. How does the traffic look out there exiting South Shore tonight?
Well, Tom, that may be the flip side of all this, which is that a lot of folks left earlier today to beat the weather or some concerns about the weather. So traffic may not be as bad tonight as it could have been if everyone waited until tonight to leave.
Okay. Thanks, Laura.
Well, Laura certainly points out the silver lining to this disappointing weather. The drive back home is going much easier tonight. Scott Monroe joins us now from Live Copter 3 over Highway 50 near Folsom. Scott, what are you seeing?
Edie, I can pretty much verify what Laura has told us up at Lake Tahoe down here in Sacramento. We're over Highway 50 looking back towards Folsom. And if we zoom in just a little bit, you can see the freeways are just about deserted. Very, very light traffic. I have to say I expected quite a bit more after Friday, seeing a huge exodus of all kinds of sport utility vehicles and trailers coming out of Sacramento. I think they did leave just a little early and come back in, or either that or it is coming. We did have a live unit on the ground just report Highway 50 further up into the mountains there around Twin Bridges to Whitehall that it was bumper to bumper. So maybe that's just a little backup localized, or maybe they are still coming and we'll get into Sacramento as the evening wears on. But so far, just about anywhere in Sacramento that you could choose, this is going to have the picture that you're going to see. Very light traffic and no accidents working. Edie, back to you.
A holiday for those drivers. Thanks a lot, Scott. And more good news on the roads. The California Highway Patrol is reporting a drop in traffic-related deaths this holiday weekend. Between 6 p.m. Friday and 6 a.m. this morning, 23 people died on California's roadways. Now, that's 10 fewer than died in the same time period last year. But Memorial Weekend '98 saw more people arrested for drunk driving. The CHP made 1,349 arrests between Friday night and this morning. That's up more than 100 from the 1,241 DUI arrests made last Memorial Day weekend.
And as this holiday weekend draws to a close, Sacramento's annual Jazz Jubilee has wound down after a musically and financially successful 4-day run. Sacramento's most popular musical weekend wrapped up at a little before 5 tonight. And the early indicators show that attendance is up. Last year, about 89,000 people, or 98,000 came. This year, more.
When you say up 10%, what does that mean in terms of badge buyers? I mean, how many?
That means probably around 109, 110,000, somewhere in there.
Concession operators say business is also up. Overall, the Jubilee appears to be a big success this year. Final attendance figures, though, will not be out until sometime next week.
Well, the weather held out just long enough for the Jazz Jubilee to wrap up. But tonight, take a look. Looks like we're back to the cold, maybe even wet weather.
We are definitely going to see a little bit of wet weather, Edie. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll take a look at live neighborhood Doppler radar.
And it's turning into one of the most negative campaigns of this election year. We'll check out the race for the 3rd congressional district seats.
From accusations of housing fraud to an unlicensed contractor whose spa installation got very expensive, Call 3 is on the case with an update tonight.
A setback for one of the candidates in Sacramento's sheriff's race. Burglars breaking into the offices of Eugene Byrd. Somebody smashed the windows of Byrd's headquarters overnight, ignoring valuable office equipment. They took important voter information in files and on computer disks. So far, police have identified no suspects.
Accusations are flying tonight in the race to fill the congressional seat being vacated by Democrat Vic Fazio. The primary race is shaping up as one of the most negative campaigns in the Valley, largely because of attack ads that pit Republican against Republican.
Gratitude and thankfulness.
For 20 years, we've known the 3rd congressional district as a Democrat seat, Vic Fazio's seat to be exact. But now that Fazio's stepping down, the most public primary fight is between Republicans. Maybe you've seen it.
Barbara Albee is making excuses for having the worst attendance in the assembly.
Doug Osie's been airing these television commercials attacking Barbara Albee's voting and attendance records in the state assembly. We caught up with Albie at a Memorial Day parade. She says she hasn't launched her own TV campaign defending her record because she can't afford it. But she says she's proud of her work, best known as the state's version of Megan's Law.
But he's willing to spend $1 million to say anything to buy this seat. I trust the voters of this district. They've watched me for 5 years. I believe that they know the truth, and that was that I'd served them.
At public forums like this one, OC did not attack Albie's record, but instead talked about his background as a real estate investor and developer.
The federal government increasingly is attempting to tell me how to run my affairs. And quite frankly, I don't need their help. I don't know how to change that by standing on the sidelines.
The other two Republican candidates are farmers who come from longtime farming families. Charlie Schaup has a military background and experience on a local school board.
Whether it's planting rice in Sutter County or hoeing the fields out in Yolo County or pruning trees up in Butte County, I have literally worked with the people, and I know the people.
This is Nathan Aerosmith's second run for Congress. He believes this time he can win because his pro-choice and pro-union positions make him a Republican with Democrat support.
This is a very unique election in that it's an open primary. And I have a lot of Democratic support as well as Republican support. And they'll be able to vote for me in this election.
Now, the Republican who wins the primary will run against one of these Democratic candidates, Sar Bosrai, Howard Beeman, and Sandy Dunn. The Libertarian candidate is unopposed in the primary.
Well, we told you about their problems. Tonight, we've got some solutions.
Don't be afraid to stand up. Speak out, and hopefully it will help.
Call 3, had it settled.
Call 3 success stories and updates. Stay with us for that and more as the News at 5 continues.
I'm Tom Brokaw tonight. Outnumbered 6-1, they knew only a miracle could save them. Extraordinary stories on Home of the Brave. Also tired of technology? Well, take a look at what some people are doing to fight back. Join me for NBC Nightly News tonight.